Hello, Billy the Artist here, and this is a video to show you how I set the grids up in real time for the how to draw videos. So we've got these are the latest ones of Draco and Professor Severus Snape, and previous ones have included how to draw a zombie with a zombie pencil. We also have how to draw a toilet roll, and again you can see this grid is different, and this grid is similar to the other portraits and Harry Potter videos. But then I've got the other videos, many of them Boss Baby and Secret of Life of Pets, and all of them I start with some kind of grid before I start using the shapes. But this is to demystify drawing and to make it as simple as possible to help you. So again, I'm going to show you how you can set out your grid, because your preparation is the most important thing for you to actually do. So we have in my videos, and if you check out the how to draw playlist. Now please do like and subscribe, click the bell to be notified when new videos are uploaded. Now I have got this board down. I need to remove that because that just allowed me to, I should have moved that with the pictures of Snape on. Now I've just put a piece of paper on there, and I'm actually zoomed out a little bit. Now I'm just going to tack a little bit of tape on there first. Now when I have done, say, The Secret Life of Pets and Toy Story and all those others, lots of other how to draw characters, check out the how to draw playlist. There's more than 110, and the Boss Baby, lots and lots of videos on there. How to draw The Simpsons. I started off, and again, if you check out How to Draw Anything Part 1, link in the cards up in the corner and in the description, you check that out. It shows you how you can use shapes to build up anything, from a bird, a bee, a flea, a tree, a horse, a house, or anything else. Anything else. Get my words together. Now I do use my usual trusty 2B pencil, which has gone wandering. There it is on my desk. Now I'm zoomed out. I'm normally really in, and you see the reference image come across with the grid on. Now when I started with the 2B pencil, you would see me, and I would draw on quite hard, and I would just draw on across like that. Now you can see that's quite faint. Now I could draw on with a 2H. Now if you were drawing, you just can't see those lines. I'm drawing lines that I can see all the way down this page, and you just can't see them, but you can hear them. Now when I draw the grid on, and you can see that cross, quite faint, it is very white, but you can see that cross on that page. So I'm just increasing the pressure, and that was the basic grid for those other videos. And then you would draw your shapes on for, you know, there's a head, there's an arm, there's an hand going up, there's a leg, and you know, and you would build everything up just using shapes. Now that, again, I'll make those a little bit darker so you can see them. Rectangle. Now that is how I've built up the drawings in the very early videos. But in one of the very early videos, which was Olaf, I did use a grid. And to make things easier for you, just move him off. Let's get another piece of paper. I started to use a little bit more of a grid and a little bit more structured. So I'm going to put my paper on. I'm just going to secure it again with a couple of bits. Now I explained to you, I draw on using a 2B pencil my lines, my construction lines, now, and even the grid lines. Now I'm going to use a pen so that you can really see these, but use a light pen when you're drawing your grid down. Now this is for things like this. So you can see we've got the grid, we've got the centre lines, and then we divide each of those 4 sections into 4 more sections each. Again, the same with the toilet roll, the same with how to draw Harry Potter, Dobby, the logos. So this is a grid that I am going to use. Now, this is standard A4 paper that I actually use. And that's 210 millimeters across, and it's 297 millimeters from top to bottom. So what I do is you start with a center line, and that's 105 millimeters. And I've got 105 millimeters there. Now I'm going to draw this line up. And there you can see your centre line. Now again, you draw this grid, it will be very light if you use a light pencil like a HB or a 2H. Now across the top and then down the side we want the second centre line. So we've got 297 divided by 2, so that's 148.5. So you can kind of put your ruler on, find 148.5 and mark it in the middle. Or what I do is you get the paper and you've got a 30 centimetre ruler. This is a little way that you can do it. I'll actually mark on first correctly 148.5. There's a dot on that side. And the same here, 148.5. And so I draw the line across. There you've got your simple cross. Now, a simple way to do it, if you don't want to find the kind of 148.5 mark, is a ruler is 30 centimetres. So you can get your ruler and you know that half of 30 is 15. And so what you can do is see where the ruler overhangs by the same distance from the 0 to the 30, and the 15 will be your exact 148.5 mark. And you can do the same on that side. So across the top we have 52.5 and 157.5 to actually make these marks, and we need to do the same at the bottom. So again, pour the line on, you've got your centre line at 105, so you've got 52.5, so you can't find the 52 and just kind of go in between your marks, and then you want 157.5, 150, 155, 67.5, and then down at the bottom we need to do the same. So we've got find 52.5 in the middle, find 150, 55, 56, 57, and then in between the two, and then you can draw your line down. And then the same there. And now you can see we've got a lot of that grid set up. Now we need to do the same down the side. Down the side we've got 74.25, 148.5 is the middle, and then 222.75. So it's like 1/4 and 3/4 of a millimetre. So what you can do is just put your ruler on at the top, rather than doing the kind of finding the exact centre line. You're going to go kind of close. So got my ruler on, 74.25, 75, 74, just past the line, little bit just past the 74 millimetre line. Same thing down here, you got 222.75, so that's 222, 223, and it's just going to be this side of the 223 millimetre line. Make your little mark and then do the same on this side. Ruler on, and we want 74.25, so there's 75, 74, 74.25, and then 222.75, so you find 223 millimeters and just come inside and put your mark on it, and it just gives you that close spot. Now I'm going to be using this like I did for the Harry Potter Hogwarts logos and house crests, Gryffindor, Slytherin, Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff and Ollivanders. I'm going to be using this to do a good few lessons, and that's a very, very good and simple way to do it. But again, you don't need to put your grid on that dark. Now, let's just take that off. Oops, I've just pulled off my masking tape quite hard and tore the paper, unfortunately. Now I'm going to get one more. Now this is the grid for the portraits that I am now doing, and it really, really helps you to place your reference points, your squares. So now I'm putting the tape on kind of carefully right up in the corners. Now the other thing that I will say is wash your hands. You'll see in the How to Draw Draco video how somehow I ended up getting a load of grease on the paper off my hands. And before I do a drawing, I always do wash my hands, and you see me resting on a piece of paper or using the bridge. Now again, I've put this A4 paper down, and this is for these. You can see the more complex grids. You can see the grid around the outside, and if you check out these videos, you'll see it, whether it's the time-lapse or the full ones, you'll actually see it being used in real time or speeded up. Now, I again use, when I'm actually laying this out, I use another piece of paper, and what I do is I put it on so that I don't, when you see me putting my hand down, you can do this all the time, just use another piece of paper to lay on top, and I'm just going to hold it in place with a little bit of tape, and then it will stop me from putting my greasy hand on the paper, which can then attract the graphite from the pencil. Now, this grid is a 2 centimetre grid, but I start from the centre line. Now, A4 paper is 210 millimetres across the top and 297 down when it's in portrait form. So the centre is that 105 again. Now again, I use a pencil, draw on dark, but I'm using a pen so this shows up easier. And the paper underneath also not just stops your hand, but also the ruler. Always clean the underside of your ruler when you've used it previously, because that can smudge your paper. So I've just put my centre line mark on again. Now across the top, from there going left and right, I want 2 centimetre grids, but the numbers are in millimetres: 5 millimetres, 25, 45, 65, 85, 105 is the centre, 125, 145, 165, 185 and then 205. So I'm just going to put on these marks quickly. There's 5, 25, 45, 65, 85. There's 105 in the centre, 125, 145, 165, 185 and 205. Now, if I move that up out the way just slightly, do the same across the bottom, and I can just start from the left hand side of the paper. 5, 25, 45, 65, 85, 105 centre line, 125, 145, 165, 185 and 205. That's got my lines all the way across the top and bottom. And now I'm going to mark up down the side. Now again, when we did the slightly lesser grid, the centre line was 148.5 down the side, but we don't need that centre line. I just use the one in the vertical, not the horizontal. So I'm going to start right from the top of the paper, and it's on top of the other piece of paper, just leaving me enough room to make my marks. And you can just, I'm just going to put that little bit of tape on again, just to stop that paper from moving. And so my ruler is now in place, and I'm going to start and go all the way down. So I've got 5, 25. So from that 5, it just gives me that little edge in, and it means I'm then kind of centered with all the squares. 45, 65, 85, 105, 125, 145, just above the centre line of the previous one of 148.5. 165, 185, 205 millimeters, 225, 245, 265 and 285, and you've got a little bit of gap at the bottom, bigger than at the top of the 5 millimeters. Now again, I can do the same on this side, and it's off the actual paper. So I just place my ruler and then mark my points: 5, 25, 45, 65, 85, 105, 125, 145, 165, 185, 205, 205 there, 225, 245, 265, 285 to end. Now I've got my marks all around the edge, and it's now simply just a case of putting your ruler on each one, doing the vertical and horizontal lines. But if you place your ruler down and your hand on top, how much grease and dirt could you actually put on? That's why I use this piece of paper. Now what I do is, you can put your ruler so it's just overhanging the paper a little bit, and then you can tape your ruler onto the paper, and then you've got it completely covered and it will move with it. And so I'm now going to do all of the verticals, and I know the horizontal lines down the vertical sides. I know that I am not putting grease and dirt onto my page because the paper is acting like a barrier. There's the 5 and 25, the 45, 65, 85, 105, 125, 145 millimeters, 165 millimeters, 185, 205. Now that 205 one, I made that mark a little bit higher. When you're doing your grid, you will make a little kind of mistake like that, but it should be so light that you wouldn't notice, and that's the bonus. So like I say, I've just done 205, now on 225, 245, 246, and 265, and 285. Now there you can see the lines all the way down. Now you can kind of put that there and just drag it across the same, but you have got paper exposed. So just take your ruler off carefully so you don't rip the paper. Place your paper on, and we're now going to do the vertical lines to match. Just pop your ruler over so it's just over, press the tape down lightly, and again you can move that backwards and forwards, and you are not going to get the tape any dirt or grease on your paper because the paper and the ruler are protected. So now I'm left-handed. If you're right-handed, you'll probably work from the 5 going over, but I'm left-handed. Sorry if that is awkward for you, but I'm working from the opposite side. So there we have the 205, and we're going backwards now. But the paper is protected. The 185. .165. .145. .125. Now we're on the centre line, which is 105 millimeters. And because this does take a good few minutes, you know, good 10 minutes to put on a grid like this, maybe longer, that's why I don't do this at the beginning of every video. There's 85. .65 and 45. .25, and now finally the last one, which is 5mm in. Now you can, because most of the drawings that you do won't go to the very edge, you don't have to do the 5mm in lines. Oops, if you don't want to. Wasn't pressing on hard enough to hold that there. Just went a little bit wibbly wobbly. Right, I've got it now. All the way up. And that's another reason why that kind of little wobble there. But taping your ruler onto a piece of paper means you can move it up and down, and it protects your paper from dirt and grease off your hands and off the pencils and the underside of the ruler. So there you can see we've got the grid all down and in place. So if I place Severus on the top, you can see how the grid would be. When you check out the video with the beginning part, I'll try and overlay a photo so you can see the grid actually in place on the preparatory drawing. But that is how simple it is to produce the grid. Now another little technique that you can do, if you don't have access to A4 paper and your paper is a little bit bigger, you may have an A3 pad, and you just copying this drawing to learn the techniques, these drawing videos. And as I say, these ones are A4 paper. So if your paper is oversized, so imagine that this now is, let me just put that on there so that we have it a little bit so you can't see the other lines showing through. So let's say that this piece of paper is slightly oversized of A4, and A4 fits inside this piece of paper. Again, let me just tape it so it won't go wandering off. What you can do is get your ruler and draw on the actual size of, so let's say that that is 210mm across the top, and then use your ruler to draw on by the edge so that you know that you've got it parallel, same across the top. Yeah, so you can use some of the lines or the markings, like I got the shatterproof there. If you drew that all the way down, and then you did the same going over, lining up the edge of your ruler with the paper, so that line there would be 297mm, and you've done the same there, and then you want to do the same on this side to square it up. So that would be 210mm inside the page, and the same at the bottom, 210, and then on these sides you've got 297 millimeters. You can then mark up your grid inside. So you'd find the center. So that would be your center line. And you could then draw that up. That would be your center line if you're doing the center line one. Or you could mark up your 2 centimeter grids all the way across. But you will have drawn inside your larger piece of paper an A4 piece of paper, so you've got your boundary first, and your lines will kind of go out over the edges. You know, don't be afraid of your lines. You don't have to go perfectly too, so they could go over the top. And that's a way of using a bigger piece of paper to actually create the A4 size that you need for my how to draw lessons. Anyway, I hope that has been helpful to you. I hope the little tip on how to keep your paper clean while you're drawing the grid down will help you. And do please like and subscribe for all of the new videos that are coming soon. Take care, enjoy your drawing, ta-da.